Stacey, on this historic day where the New York Stock Exchange is closed for floor trading and operating through computers for the first time in its more than 100-year history. How's it going so far?
It certainly is a historic day for the New York Stock Exchange, but it's a historic day for the United States more broadly, right? We are all battling this crisis and taking the steps that we think makes most sense to protect people more broadly across the U.S. So we made the decision to move to electronic trading temporarily until we have a good sense of how can we keep people safe.
And what are you seeing in terms of the market action? Is it interfering at all with liquidity? Is it operating normally?
Yeah, stocks open normally this morning. The market makers that stand on the trading floor every day who aren't standing behind me today are remotely opening and closing stocks throughout the day using their technology systems to interact and provide liquidity into the market throughout the day. This is something, and as we've highlighted, a lot of trading is done electronically already. The people on the floor are using algorithms to trade. So a lot of that is happening off floor now, as it would on a normal day. And as soon as we can, we'll get the people back in the building.
What are you looking for to see if that could happen? Because some people are saying, look, we might not see the New York Stock Exchange floor open ever. If this proves to go well, why do we even need floor traders?
Because it's a level of service that we can provide to our listed companies as well as their investors, and to provide a premium offering. Just like many restaurants are offering delivery and takeout and close their dining rooms, or CNBC is broadcasting remotely and not doing live on-set interviews, once we have a sense that we can protect the people we're working with, just like you would go back to live interviews and restaurants would reopen their dining rooms, we'll reopen to the trading floor so we can provide full service to our customers.
Yeah, Stacey, it's Kelly here at Studio picking up on that. Does that mean it's a privilege for traders to get access to the floor? Can you explain that a little bit more? What the difference is?
It's their customers. It's a privilege to their customers. So the customers off of the trading floor, those investors that are buying and selling stocks every single day, and those listed companies who are choosing the New York Stock Exchange, choose because they have that additional level of service of having people at the point of sale providing human judgment. Importantly, those people aren't open outcry trading each day. They're adjusting their algorithms and to respond to changing market conditions. So like any industry, we've introduced technology to scale their products and services, scale their businesses. So that's why there are fewer people on the trading floor today, is because they're using technology to accomplish so much more. But that technology is a critical piece of it. So is the people. Anytime you empower people with technology, and you get a much better result. And that's what we see. Our stocks trade with less volatility as a result. And today we're taking that piece of the service offering off the table, just given the circumstances. It's a well-considered response. It's not a panic reaction. And I would challenge all Americans to be thinking about their actions right now through that lens, right? This is a crisis, but it doesn't give us the opportunity to make decisions based on fear or panic. It's very important that we use this opportunity to become the best versions of ourselves, make decisions that are good long-term decisions about how we can protect ourselves, our neighbors, and how we can be part of the solution. Just like we're seeing healthcare workers rise to the occasion every single day, every single person should be thinking about how they can help and how they can be a united member of this country.
But many people, Stacey, are fearful. And I know we've talked about this point before, but it still continues to be live. And there are still calls for the market to close for some period of time because people are emotional and they are scared and there are worries. And a lot of that is manifesting itself in the markets, which is adding further pain to this sort of economic and health crisis that we're seeing. State your case of why it's so important to keep the markets open versus, say, 9/11, where we saw the floor close for a few days, but we also saw the market close.
So those are very different scenarios, and I understand that it is hard to not make emotional decisions, but we have to do that. People need to make sure they are not panicking and making decisions, whether they're investment decisions or personal decisions. People should be staying home, and they should be focusing on protecting their long-term investments, and that means not to panic right now. When you reference 9/11, the market was closed for 4 days during 9/11 because at that point in time, it was not capable of opening. The industry, the New York Stock Exchange, many of its clients were not able to operate remotely. We have since introduced that capability. I've heard referenced over the past few days back in World War I that the markets were closed for 4 months. At that point in time, the number of Americans that had their life savings and their money invested in the market was dramatically different. Right now, people are being stressed, and many of them need access to those dollars in the short term because of the trials that they're undergoing right now. We can't take that access away from them. We've made adjustments to the market to deal with situations like that, and those situations have been designed, well thought out, data-driven, and actual responses to market conditions, not knee-jerk reactions to a sell-off. I spoke a few times last week with former Treasury Secretary Nick Brady. He was the Treasury Secretary following the 1987 market crash. He and the team designed market-wide circuit breakers for exactly situations like this, when there is a major sell-off in the market, so that we can have an informed slowdown that limits panic at moments in time, to give people a moment to react and to think wisely about what they're doing and to not feed into a panic sell-off. His point and his message to me has been consistently, you need to make sure the markets stay open. This is why we designed this. Now, it was easy for me to say, don't worry about that, because I'm sure, and I also agree, the markets need to stay open. They need to be able to provide access to investors, their money. And that's number one, that's most critical. It is also very helpful to understand and to highlight what the public sentiment is. That's a useful tool to have. On its own, I think it's really critical that people have access to their money, but having the markets reflect back how Americans are dealing with this challenge is a very useful tool as well.
I see you're still at the floor, Stacey. Is there any thinking that the floor could open sooner than many think? I believe in Cuomo's order, financial services are part of the essential workforce of New York.
Financial services are an essential workforce. We will open the floor as soon as we're confident that we can do so safely.
Stacey Cunningham, thank you for joining us, president of the New York
Thanks.
Stock Exchange.